Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on our JobNimbus 101 workshop. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my personal favorite features of JobNimbus, the personal assistant. Now, we're not talking about the office manager at your company, although honestly, in all honesty, they are amazing and are most likely overworked. So let's talk about your JobNimbus personal assistant to help them out. I'm Dan.
I'm Logan, and we're happy to have you here today. So you've probably noticed as you've gone through your business that a lot of things are very, very repetitive. You know, you get a new lead, you follow up, you make an appointment. Maybe you want to remind them a few times about when the appointment is. You make sure they show up. You go to the appointment, you do your inspection, you get your estimate, you send it to them. Maybe you have to send them a few emails to remind them, hey, I sent you an estimate. Please let me know if we can do this work for you. And then if they say yes, then you got to schedule time to go out there. You got to send them emails saying, hey, this is what's going to go on. This is what to expect. And then once you've actually done it, you have to send them emails that say, pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me, pay me, until they finally pay you. And then you want to say, great, thanks. Here's an email. Please rate and review us on Google. And a lot of this can be done by a computer, specifically the JobNimbus computers, and that is done by automation. Anytime you have something that's very predictable and when it's going to happen and something you want to have happen every time, that's what a JobNimbus automation is for. Or personal assistant, like Dan said, one upside of ours, much lower salary than your office manager. So keep that in mind. Now, an automation is a when, if, then statement. So when X happens in the system, if Y is true, then do Z. And we're going to dig a little bit into that.
Yeah, it's super simple statement. So yeah, let's get into our automations and explain them a bit more. The way you get to your automations is through settings. When you're in your settings, if you have settings access, click on automation here in the left side navigation menu, and that will show you all the automations that you've created in your account. As you see, there are a lot here. You can create as many as you want or as many as you need in your company. As you see right here, we can see that when, if, then statement. Like right here, when a contact status is changed, if it has these conditions, then do this action. So let's get into the rules of automations. If you want to create an automation, click on Add Rule. And first, let's talk about the trigger types. Now, there are two trigger type automations here. We have event-based and time-based. Event-based basically says when X happens, if it has these Y conditions, immediately do Z. If it's time-based, it says when X happens, if it has Y conditions, wait a little time and then do Z. So it's pretty simple. They're pretty much the same, except time-based tells you to wait a little bit and wait a certain amount of time. So let's go back to event-based, and I'll show you the next thing, which is the trigger record. That's part of the when statement. We can say like when a contact, job, or any of these records here, when they're created, here, let's choose job for now. When they are created, modified, or deleted, then we can add conditions and then tell JobNimbus what to do. So here we have, created is pretty easy to understand. Deleted is pretty easy to understand. Modified basically means that whenever information is added, updated, or changed in a file, then the automation rule will run. So this right here could actually work. When a job is modified, do an action. That right there is pretty broad. And we change data or update data all the time in JobNimbus. So you're going to be having this automation fire every second of the day, and that's not fun. So let's talk about how we can specify this when statement with if conditions.
Yeah, just like when we're using reports, specificity is key to making this useful. And we do that with the conditions. So when we jump in here, we'll see the three different parts of a condition. The first is the bit of the record that we're looking to change. So we're going to say looking to change. not exactly right. This is the bit of the record that we're looking at to trigger. There's a few things that are based in JobNimbus normally, like type, status, sales rep, lead source, things like that. Also, any particular custom fields you make will be available to use in your automations. You can see there's a lot here. We're going to use a standard one, which is a status. The second is our conditional part of our condition is equal to or is not equal to. Other records might have other bits of information, like if we chose a date field for the first bit, this would say before or after, things like that. But we'll leave this as equal to, and then we're going to set this to signed contract. So very simple. If status is equal to signed contract, then we're going to do a thing. The only other thing to look at is this little box here, which always shows up when we're working on a event-based automation. It says only if the status is modified. So if this is off, then it's going to say, hey, a job has been modified and the status is equal to signed contract. Let's fire. And this will just keep happening as long as something is in signed contract. Not great. So if we turn this on, then it's going to check and say, did the action that we take change the status to signed contract? That's a lot more manageable. That should happen usually once per contact or once per job. So we'll save this. We can use as many conditions as we want. We can even come in and have another status condition if we like, which could be useful. But let's keep it on type is equal to, let's put it on commercial. And this is only if type is modified. Well, our types are workflows. We're not jumping those very often. So let's turn that off. Currently, this says when a job is modified, if the status is equal to signed contract, and that had to be modified into it. And if the type is equal to commercial, then we're going to do our action. Now, you'll notice these two buttons right here. The first one is require all conditions to be true. That makes this and. The second one is require any condition to be true, which makes this or. So then this would read, if the status is equal to signed contract modified, or if the type is equal to commercial. Well, that would mean that type is equal to commercial is very common, and we would be triggering this again all the time. So we want to leave this as an and. But if we had two status conditions, for instance, then we might want it to be or. So if it's in signed contract or if it's in estimate pending, then we want something to happen.
Yeah, that's pretty good right there. Those conditions specify this when statement really well. So let's talk about the then portion of that statement, adding an action. So click on add action, and you can see we have specific actions we can create in JobNimbus, such as we'll start down here, change status of the parent contact. Now, this doesn't change the status of the job, it changes the status of the parent contact. So we can say if the status is equal to signed contract, if the job was moved into signed contract, then we can change the workflow type and the status of its parent contact. Another action we can do is create a task. Now, basically this will say, if the job has just been moved into signed contract, I want a specific team member to do a specific task. Now, the other action we can do is send an email. Now, your JobNimbus personal assistant is amazing, and it can do a lot of tasks for you, but it cannot write out an email from scratch. So if you choose to send an email, as you see, we're telling it to send a specific email template. All of the email templates you have created in your account are here in this drop-down menu, and I can choose from any of them to send out to whoever I want, such as the team member that's assigned to the job, or even the primary contact of the job. Now, if you want to send an email, like I said, you need to have a template. Your templates are housed here in your template section. So click on templates in the left side menu, and you'll see all of your email templates here where you can manage, you can add more email templates, you can edit your email templates, and then you can send them out to or tell JobNimbus to send them out to your contacts. Now, we hope that this helps you understand automations a bit better and gets you thinking of what kind of automations you want to create in your JobNimbus account. Like I said, this is my favorite feature of JobNimbus, and I hope that as you play with it and learn more about automations, you find that you love it too, because it's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and it's going to make you and your company more efficient.
Thanks so much for coming to listen to us talk all about automations. We will be talking about different kinds of automations over the next few weeks. So if you have more interest in automations and would like to learn more, please stop by.